So hello and welcome to your third tutorial on PHP. Today we'll discuss how we move from file to file in PHP, and to start off I've opened my XAMPP and I've started Apache and my SQL. Then in my htdocs I've created a PHP3 folder in which I have the file 3.php which I have opened with my notepad and my local host. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a simple variable and just get it on my web page. So this is my simple code. I have my variable k1 and it just says Google and I'm displaying it through echo. Now if we save and refresh, I'm going to get the word Google on my web page. Now let's add to this variable text through concatenation. So we put a dot and then quotation marks, and then we can write our text like so. It's a search engine. Now we see something's wrong here as we have an apostrophe here, however we also have our quotation marks. So if I save and refresh, I will get this error. So what I need to do is I need to make them double quotation marks. Now I'm going to get Google, it's a search engine, like so. So quotes can often get very confusing, as you can have HTML quotes, JavaScript quotes, and in our case PHP quotes, all in the same line of code. You can, as we see, use either single or double quotes as you prefer, but basically you just need to be careful and disciplined. Now there's also another solution to this. So if we want PHP to read this as text, what we do is before it we add a backslash like so. Now if I save and refresh, we see that it will still work perfectly fine and PHP can read it. And I can add something like this just to make it look nice, and here we are. Also, the starting quotes don't have to be single quotes. We can put a double quote here and single ones here and it will still work. So let's see it for ourselves. Here we are, it still works perfectly fine. Now what we're going to do is right here, we're going to make a new variable, so p1 for example, and we're going to write 3 of these, and we're going to write 3 angle brackets with, let's say, Simon. It can be anything that you would like, and we're basically going to call Simon right here. There can be no spaces right here. It has to be right at the beginning of the line. No spaces here and no spaces here. Now let's continue. Let's add some random HTML code inside of our text like so. So as you see, I have some random HTML code that I made way before. So if I go ahead and save, click refresh, we're gonna see nothing, which is because we need to also display our p1 variable in which all of this code is in. Let's put a semicolon. Let's go ahead and save, refresh. We see our HTML code right here. Now if I go to my view source, we'll see our HTML code right here. Now there's also a different way of putting HTML code in PHP, and so to show you that, so let's go ahead and comment on all of this code up to our echo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file. We'll name it, let's say, h.html by the way, and we're going to edit it with Notepad, and inside I'm going to paste my HTML code. So inside we'll paste our HTML code. Now if I save both of these and if I refresh, I'm going to see just my first PHP code. So what we're going to do is we're going to use include, and I'm going to put the file name, which is h.html, and a semicolon. Now if I save and refresh, I'm going to get every single content which is in my HTML file, just like we see right here. Also, instead of include, we can comment on it. Let's duplicate it and change include for require. So save, refresh. We see that our HTML code is still working perfectly fine. Now let's say you were to write echo and for example test. Now if I save this, refresh, I'm going to get the word test on my page. However, let's say for some reason the name of the HTML file was changed. So right here, let's say it was changed to h8, and what we're gonna see is that when we save this and when we refresh, we're going to get errors, or we're going to get a fatal error which says require failed opening the required h.html file. And as we see, our test isn't here as well. So this was in the case of require. However, if I change it back to include, and if I save and refresh, we'll see that I'll get my test with my first PHP code with the errors. And now let's say the name of our file was changed back to normal, however the type of it has changed to txt for some reason. And if we also change it here as well, so txt, and if we save this, go ahead and refresh, we're also going to get our HTML file in our local host. And also if it's changed to PHP, change it here as well, it will still work fine. Now to move on, let's go ahead and create a new file. And now to move on, let's go ahead and create a new HTML file. Let's name it form.html. Go ahead and open it with Notepad. Let's put in its required things like so. Now let's go ahead and create a form with the action. We're going to put this as, so we see that what I've done right here is I've created a form with one.php. The method is post method. I've created a select tag with cars and their options like BMW, Mercedes and Mazda. Then I've made transmission, so the transmission of the cars. I made a label tag and an input inside with the type radio, name tr, value automatic, and the same for the second one, however the value is manual. Now let's save this. Let's also change the file that we're working with. As we remember, it is form.html. Now we see this result. We're going to see that everything works perfectly fine and everything can be clicked, so on. Now let's discuss this label tag. Let's say if I were to remove it from here. Now let's see what happens. If I click label message, so as we see, if I click on the text, so automatic, it will be highlighted or selected, and if I click on manual, it will also be selected. So this is due to the label tag. Let's say if I were to delete it right now, if I save and refresh, for manual, when I click on the text, it won't work. If I click on automatic, it will, as it has the label tags. So that was just me telling you what the label tag actually does, just for you to understand. And let's just go ahead and change this for, let's say, f1.php. Let's also go ahead and add in a button. Let's make it submit. Let's close our button. Let's also write send data. Here it is. Now let's go ahead and create our f1.php file. Let's go ahead and create our f1.php, which I will write some PHP code for. So inside of our PHP tags, we're going to, let's say, select the t1 variable, and through the post method, we're going to select the main name of the select tag, so cars. I also made a mistake right here. They need to be square brackets like so. Now in our second variable, we're also with the post method. We'll select our tr, and now through echo, let's get both of them displayed. So t1 and our t2. Save, refresh. Now let's go ahead and select Mercedes. Let's click on manual and let's click on send data. Everything works perfectly fine. We're going to get manual for Mercedes. Now what we can also do is we can change post for request, like so. And so the difference between post and request is that inside of our form, even if we change this post for get, if we save, refresh, go to our HTML file, if we click on BMW, we will get the value. However, if I click on BMW and manual, if I click on BMW and manual together, click on my button, I will get an error. However, if I put the second one with request as well, so as this one, as the tr wasn't found as it was post, and if we put both as request, we will see that it will actually work perfectly fine with two requests. Now to move on, let's go ahead and change this back to post. And what we're going to do is right here, we're going to change our variables. Let's change this for brand, and let's change this for transmission, like so. And by the way, if you remember the switch operator from JavaScript, it can also be used in PHP, so let's go ahead and use it. And inside of its value brackets, let's go ahead and type in brand, so our brand variable. Let's open curly braces. Inside we're going to write case, if you remember from JavaScript. And we also need to write that if, in the case of BMW, we're going to get this variable k1, and we're going to get, let's say, comfortability, and we're going to add echo to get it displayed, k1, like so. And obviously we're going to add our break. Now for our next case, let's go ahead and copy this, paste it right here, change this for Mercedes. Also I need to change it in here as well, like so, Mercedes. And instead of comfortability, let's write fancy. And let's also just change this for comfort, just to keep it short, like so. And let's also make our last one for Mazda. So Mazda, and let's make this one speed. And so as we see, we're using the same variable for all of them, the k1 variable. Let's go ahead and now save this. Save, and let's refresh. And so if we're going to click on, let's say, Mercedes, and we're going to click on send data, so let's say we're going to click on BMW and automatic, we're going to get comfort. If we click on, let's say, Mazda and manual, we're going to get speed. And let me just fix this small thing. Let me save it here as well so it works fine. Now if I refresh, if I click on Mercedes, automatic send data, I'm going to get fancy. Now let's add a little something to our variable brand, which will be this, like so. Now let's save, refresh. What we're going to get is both at the same time, so we know what we've selected. So if it's BMW, I'm going to get BMW, line, and comfort, so on. By the way, you should know that we don't really have to put our echo k1s right here. We can get rid of them, like so. However, what we're going to do is we're going to get them shown right after our switch. So if I save and refresh, I'm going to see that it still all works perfectly fine. Now to move on, let's go ahead and create a new variable like E1, and let's just paste some random text inside it, like so. As we see right here, I have my text. Now let's get it displayed through echo. Let's go ahead and save this, refresh. Now let's go ahead and click on this, we're going to get our text right here and create another variable. So let's say variable 1, in which we'll use the explode function. So in these quotation marks, let's leave just a space and let's write a comma and the variable in which the text is in, which is our E1 variable, like so. Now at this point, our variable 1 is turned into an array. So what we can do, we can get it displayed like so, and we're going to display its first element, which is actually the 0 element, and I don't need the equal sign. Let's save, let's refresh, and what we're going to see is lorem, which is actually our first word, is down at the bottom as well. So that is the function of explode. It basically breaks a string into an array. And the reason why lorem is here and not any other word is because we've used the position of 0, so the value of 0, which is lorem. Now if I were to change it to 3, and if I go ahead and save, refresh, if I go ahead and save and refresh, I'm going to get sit with the value of 3, as that is my third value. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now if I were to put a comma right here, and if I save this and refresh, what we're going to see is that my text will be split by commas. And as we see through Control F, we're going to find it right here. So it's going to be split by commas. So that was all that I had prepared for you today. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you so much for watching.